Adios. It is a sort of a small-scale indie game that's mostly, as I understand it, a character study about a guy with a farm that has sort of an unusual specialty. Why don't we just get into the game and discover it together? Tell him I'm done. That's my only task in my journal.
I can't do this anymore.
What?
This.
What, mornings?
No. All of this.
You mean the deal?
Afraid so.
What do you mean? You need better pay, different hours?
No, nothing like that. I'm just... done with this.
Uh-huh. Okay. You wanna...
Yeah, sure.
Here you go. So, you done, huh?
Yep.
Oh no.
You do understand what that means, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
I don't think you do.
I do.
And you still think you can quit?
Yeah, it's a free country.
This isn't that kind of job.
I know. But, all the same, I am done.
Nothing I can do to change your mind.
Okay, so folks in the chat are asking if there are subtitles. That would make sense. Could it be under game? Could it be under audio? Subtitles. Show. That's going to be helpful. I could raise the volume a little bit. I'm always a little cautious about raising the volume too high in case the game sort of drowns me out and makes conversation impossible. But I'm not going to be talking during the dialogue anyway. So if dialogue is mostly the source of the audio, I think I'll raise the audio a bit so everybody can hear it. Look, notice that I always have these dialogue options, but this isn't about me deciding who I am. This is about me learning who this character is. And so I can say it different ways, but I'm going to say the same thing.
I'm afraid not.
Well, let's go get some coffee. Talk things over. Come on.
I didn't get to finish feeding the pigs their delicious meat.
Smells delicious as always.
Sadie was the real cook.
Hey, don't sell yourself short. Not much that's better than your home-cooked eggs.
Hope you don't mind, I left out the bell peppers this time.
Can't stand them.
Sadie always liked peppers, though, so I put up with them.
Not to change the subject, but how long we been doing this for, you think?
15 years, just about.
Summer of 78. Why'd we meet? What was it?
Bill was sick.
And you couldn't afford a doctor.
No, we could not.
So you needed my help.
You or God's.
Well, here's what I remember. I had a problem that night, and Jimmy was trying to help me solve that problem when who should come in through that door but you?
Jimmy was always bragging about connections back home. I thought he could help.
Jimmy knew we could help each other, so he called up Tony. We agreed, made a deal. We all agreed. Ugh. Anyone ever tell you you're no good at making coffee?
Sadie did. All the time.
Thought you'd have got it better by now.
Well, Sadie made the coffee. I made the bacon.
It's good bacon. You know, when I was a kid, I thought pigs were all pink with curly tails.
Yorkshires are. Mine are red wattle. American breed. Not a lot of them out there, you know.
That's so.
Mm-hmm. Always thought it'd be nice, to raise pigs that was different. I had some Yorkies way back. Must have been, I don't know, before the service.
Long time ago.
Yeah, I'm an old man.
You and me both. So why the Waddles? Funny name.
Like I said, American breed. Nearly went extinct. Thought I'd do my part to keep them alive. And that tastes good.
You aren't wrong. The other day, I was reading the paper.
Look at you, an intellectual.
Maybe. Anyways, I read that pigs were as smart as us. You believe that?
So, real quick, I'm assuming that people have absorbed enough sort of cultural messages to understand what that first scene was about. When this guy shows up with a bunch of mysterious meat and I start feeding it to pigs. So, question for the chat. How would you feel about eating an animal that had eaten a person? Would you feel like you were kind of eating a person? I don't know. Just since we're talking about how delicious these pigs are, that's sort of what's occurring to me in my head.
You, going somewhere with this?
Nah, just thinking about my food.
What's there to think about?
Nothing, I suppose. Just never thought about it before. Do you think the pigs know?
Know what?
That they're food.
Oh, pigs don't think like that.
How do you know?
'Cause I know pigs. Pigs ain't like us. Well, sure, they're smart. They eat, they sleep, but they do not plan. They don't think about the future.
And I suppose you do?
Every man does.
I think I'm just about finished up here. What do you say I accompany you today?
What, help out with the farm chores? Shovel manure, milk goats, stuff like that?
Sure. Always wanted to know how to milk goats.
As long as you're okay with shoveling manure first. What about your sidekick?
Protege. When I retire, he'll be the man you'll be dealing with. Good guy. Smart. Discreet. Ambitious.
Like you, I guess. But, listen. I told you already. I'm quitting.
We'll see.
Feel cautious about starting to talk right now. Okay, so I was looking at that fork because it did fascinate me. But part of it was in that scene, they gave me a little bit of business to do. Like I could try to figure out how to eat my omelet while we were talking, but the conversation was much longer than the omelet. And so I ran out of stuff to do. And so I was kind of imagining, if I was actually sitting there talking to a guy like that, what would I be doing with my hands? I am kind of nervous person who has to reach out and grab things while I'm talking. I have to be doing something. And so, I actually probably would have been staring at a fork like that while I was talking to the guy. But also, it was interesting how this world has got these sort of sketchy looking outlines to it. It's meant to look like it's drawn while still being in 3D. But it was so interesting seeing the way that they still had sort of the shiny glints of light coming off the fork, despite the fact that it's like a cartoon fork. And you can see that you can sort of see it just right there. There's this light that similarly is sort of glowing, and its glow is reaching beyond the edges of its outlines, which is, I don't know, it's just an interesting blend of 3D and sort of the stylings of 2D art. Hello. Imagine these must be objective markers.
Huh. I've always wondered what was in this shack.
Have you now?
Figured it was just some old shack at first, but every time I asked what was in there, you haven't been forthcoming.
I have not, no.
Tried to take a look in the window once.
Did you now?
Don't pull the cord. It's not pull the cord.
Got a light?
Ta-da!
Fine.
Beautiful, right?
Pop machines. Here I figured you had a deep, dark secret.
We have a deep, dark secret. This here is one of my hobbies.
What, collecting them?
Well, sure, I collect them, I guess, but that's not really the point.
Is there a point to any hobby?
It depends. What I meant was that it's no fun to just collect them. I fix them up. That's where the real fun is.
Makes sense.
I want this brand of root beer to be real, by the way. I do not want Slurpo. Slurpo sounds disgusting. But root beer, I would absolutely drink root beer.
You look like you want to ask me something.
Why pop machines?
I like a good soda pop.
And the jump from that to having a bunch of machines in a blacked out shed?
I used to work at the town library after school, and somebody thought it would be a good idea to put in a pop machine. 50, 51, thereolabouts. Anyways, it was cantankerous, as these things tended to be, especially back then, and Mrs. Olson, she was the librarian at the time, knew I was handy, asked me to fix it.
And you've been fixing pop machines ever since?
Well, not exactly. Didn't think much of it for years until after some time I got back from overseas, and I was at this junkyard, and I saw a Kruger Schmidt.
A what?
A Kruger Schmidt. Yeah, I jumble the words, I know, probably French or something.
It sounds German.
German. Yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, it looked so dilapidated that I just had to take it home and fix it. Of course, you know how the wife is. She just about threw a hissy fit. But I brought her to this here shed and got to work. Fixed her up real nice,
Then what?
Had myself a nice pop. And then I sold it and figured that was all there was to it. But then there was an auction in town and someone was selling a pair of Vendos. Well, I figured, hey, I could fix that too.
And it snowballed from there.
That it did.
But why?
It relaxes me.
I don't know, soda machines. It's an unusual thing for a man to want to fix. Don't people get paid to fix them?
It is unusual, but when the missus and I would get into fights or when things was bad or I was anxious, well, I don't know. Well, Sadie's sister, once she passed, told me that it was all right to cry, that it wasn't weakness, that it was okay. And I remember sitting there in that empty living room with everyone murmuring and telling me how sorry they were, and I didn't feel like I needed to cry.
Didn't you miss her?
Of course I did. Still do, but I don't know. Not everybody needs to cry. I don't need to cry. I don't get in that way, you know? Weakness? No. I don't know what she was talking about, weakness. Crying never felt weak to me. That's just not how I am.
I can't remember the last time I cried. Maybe that movie about the boy and his dogs.
Oh, always cry over that one. Dogs are good. Innocent. Yeah, when a dog dies, that always moves me to tears.
Yeah.
But Joe...
Wait, was he talking about that a post-apocalyptic movie, A Boy and His Dog? Because that's not a that's not the right kind of emotional movie. I think he's not talking about that one.
She insisted. Then she kept insisting. Then, I don't know. I think she got offended I wouldn't cry, as if she loved Sadie more than me. And she made me feel like I was something wrong. Of course, that wasn't true. There wasn't nothing wrong with me. I just didn't... I wasn't like that. It wasn't what I needed. It wasn't how I needed to grieve. This is how I grieve. This right here. When I got a problem, I fix it. And when I fix it, I fix a little part of me. And I don't know how or why, but it's healing. It's a healing thing, and that's why a man's got to have a hobby.
That's a really good point, by the way. I really like his the way that he's telling the story, because you hear that a lot, where it's like people will come to somebody and they'll decide that they know what the person needs to do in order to feel better or recover from some bad experience or something like that, and they'll almost be like insistent, like if you don't do it their way, then basically they're just creating an entirely new problem for you instead of helping you. When they're that insistent that they know what's right for you and you have to do what they say, and there's going to be consequences in your relationship if you don't do what they say, they're coming in there into a bad situation and making it worse. People are just different from each other, and you have to build that assumption into anything you're doing when you're dealing with other people. Just assume you don't really know what's going on in that person's head or how they work. By the way, we've got a few different people sort of talking about the art style here, comparing it to the game 13, which I really liked. And this also reminds me a lot of the Walking Dead games. Which deliberately sort of cultivated a comic book style. I think, partly because it looked neat, but also partly because I think they were, trying to make it really clear that they were not trying to be the TV show, right? Like, because The Walking Dead was originally a comic book series, and even though the TV show is the most sort of popular and well-known sort of version of that story, the folks making the video game wanted to make sure people understood we're not telling the same story that you saw on TV. This is something different. And so I think that they deliberately targeted a comic book style to make it look like, oh, this is going back to the original material and doing something new with it.
Sorry,
No, it's all right. I figured, I figured if someone's got to know, this is my quiet little hobby. A thing I do to help me work out my worries.
Well, yeah, looks like you fixed this one up real nice.
I'm proud of it. Proud of all of them. But I'm proud of this one most.
Thank you for taking the time to show me.
There's another reason I wanted to show this to you.
What's that?
If you want it, it's yours.
What am I going to do with a pop machine?
Well, grab yourself a nice, refreshing drink of soda every so often, you big dummy.
Wait, I couldn't possibly.
Now, please. A little memento of our time together.
Oh, come on, a memento. Let's keep this train rolling. We can work something out.
You come on back by, pick up the soda machine. Take it home with you. Or don't. If you really got no use for it, I won't be offended.
I'll think it over. What's next?
I think I just threw the can at him and he caught it. All right, move the manure, milk the goats, feed the horse, throw horseshoes. That's on my to-do list? How do I... There we go. Oh. There we go. Let's throw horseshoes after the day's over. Jedi Psychitrix is starting to get a little nervous. She points out this game is called Adios, and your checklist includes tell him I'm done and giving stuff away. That's a good point. I actually hadn't been thinking of it that way.
Don't you own a tractor?
What's that got to do with anything?
Well, pigs I get. Goats too. Some fellas have chickens and cows. That's all well and good, but what's the point of a horse?
Horses are God's most beautiful creatures.
What, you just keep a horse around because they're beautiful?
Horses belong on farms.
Uh-huh. You haven't got a saddle for him, so you don't ride him. He's no racehorse. Can't eat him. What's the point?
I don't see the point in a farm without a horse. Gotta have a horse.
And what's this about them being beautiful? Beautiful, really. Beautiful, he says. Spindly legs and bloated bellies and those weird teeth. Sleep standing up. Who sleeps standing up? Something wrong with that. Aren't you going to say something?
Shh. One day maybe this fella will understand. There you go. There you go.
To me, I mean.
I keep apples here 'cause he likes them. Likes the salt lick, too. Want to feed him one?
Nah, I'm good.
Come on, man. Feed him an apple. Feed the horse an apple. Do it. Do it. What's wrong with you, man? Fine.
Suit yourself. All righty, here you go, boy. No, I gotta get going. Why don't you walk on out to pasture, rest a spell?
Horses give me the willies.
Can't see why.
And those are some pretty incredible willies. Okay, move the manure, milk the goats. Jedi Psychic says, I really want this guy to get annoyed at you as you pelt him with apples. Yeah. Especially considering that I actually could throw him a drink and have him catch it. I was kind of surprised he didn't catch the apple and then just do nothing with it. Let's move the manure. Is this manure? The shovel.
What's the wheelbarrow for?
Hauling.
Hauling what?
Manure.
Ah, and what are we supposed to do with this crap?
We are going to fertilize. Well, not now, it's October, but we're going to put it in a nice big pile where it belongs.
We?
Well, you did say you wanted to help.
Yeah, guess I did.
So help. Pick up that shovel over there. We'll shovel it in, wheel it out, dump it, and we're good.
And you do this every day.
Mm-hmm. Most every day.
And you want to keep doing this every day.
It's my routine.
Shoveling shit.
Someone's got to do it.
That isn't the first time you've told me that.
So it's kind of funny. I feel like between this game and Breath Edge, I'm doing a lot of this activity.
Oh, yeah?
Vietnam.
Yeah.
You know, I did some digging on you, personally, not the shit kind. You know what I found?
I reckon you'll tell me.
You went back. What happened that day in the valley?
You saw the report. I'm not going to talk about it.
Come on.
No.
Suit yourself. You got a medal. You didn't have to go back. Had a wife and kid here. At a time where most of us were trying to figure out how to stay home. You went back.
By the way, in case you're curious, I am not steering this wheelbarrow, and I have no idea where it's supposed to go. I'm just pushing W, and he's taking care of it for me.
You going somewhere with this?
Think it'd be fun if you told me why? While we're shoveling shit.
I was recon. You know that, I reckon. I was in the hospital, staring at the ceiling, magazines next to me on the bed. And I had this, moment. A moment of clarity.
A revelation.
Uh-huh. And the revelation was this. Them protesters weren't doing a damn thing. The hippies and the bands weren't changing anything. You know who was?
The Vietnamese? The Russians?
Before he answers that question, Crimson Exodia asks, "Can you overflow the wheelbarrow?" No. So once the wheelbarrow was full, I tried to pick up more and put it in, and I didn't have the interaction. All of the actions in this game, at least a lot of the actions in this game, feel very sort of conditional, like context based. So you can do something because the game is offering you the option, not because you can just always do that thing.
No, the news. You hit someone hard enough day in, day out with the realities of war, pretty soon they'll tire of it. Vietnam, that was our first time that close to war. So, I figured,
You figured?
you ain't the only one of us who's killed people.
Why do you think I offered you that job back in '74?
Turned it down for the same reason I went back. They were telling us our patriotic duty was to go and fight for our country. Well, that's what I did.
You weren't recon when you went back, though.
Went back with a camera. Talked them into letting me help with the press, keeping them safe and all that. So I did. And I took pictures. Took all the pictures I could. I fought in a different way.
Did you win?
We pulled out of Nam, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. And now you're here. Great big war hero. Shuffling shit.
Yeah. Shoveling shit.
Milk the goats. But that's horseshoes again. Let's goats this way. Woohoo! You can run in this game. I appreciate the fact they didn't have to give me the ability to run. This is the kind of game where you would kind of expect someone to say, oh, well, you're kind of an older guy, so you always walk slow. And that's just part of the, and I would forgive that if that was just part of the game. I appreciate them taking it a little further and letting me actually...
back home they call you the pig farmer.
That description is apt.
And yet, you also have goats.
I do also have goats. And a horse. And I had a dog. Tried cows once. Bill raised a newt or something, but, it died.
Well, most people have, I don't know, chickens and cows. You got goats.
Is that, judgment I hear?
No judgment, no. Just wondering, why goats?
Goat milk.
There can't be much profit in that.
Well, there's enough. Besides, I had you.
Have. You still have.
Interestingly, they let me open the door, but there's like a kind of a squishy barrier. I can't pass through it.
As I've said, I'm no longer interested in that particular revenue stream.
We're the ones who sever ties. And you don't want us severing ties.
I believe I made myself clear.
I feel like we've had this conversation a couple of times now, and you still don't seem to get that I'm done with this line is just going to look really silly at the end of the day.
You were asking me about goats.
Yeah, goats.
I like them. They like to play. They'll eat just about anything. The milk's an acquired taste, but I've always liked the cheese. Meat's good with the right curry. A friend taught me that a while back.
So, you like them for the utility?
I like them because they're playful. Want to get started?
Started?
Milking.
I still can't go in. Okay, there's like a little bubble of space that I can't escape. Huh. Okay. I wonder if this is accidental. I wonder if this is a bug. It says sit. I assume that means I'm supposed to go sit on that thing over there. Hey, man. Oh, man. Yikes. Okay, this is kind of rough. Huh. Well, you know what? It has been about half an hour. That's probably a good amount of time for this video. Why don't we pause it here? And I'll come back a little bit later. You know what? I'm betting that if I come back to this game, I'm betting whatever problem here is probably going to be reset and fixed. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. But I think you got the point of the kind of game this is. This is a character study. You're trying to learn about this guy. And Jedi Cytrix had an insight. Part of this game is sort of sitting back and enjoying the story, letting it be told to you, and sort of experiencing this person and their perspective and their life. I think there's a part of you that's sort of meant to be thinking ahead, trying to figure out what's going to happen, because my character is making a pretty potentially harsh choice, deciding to turn against the mob, right, and decide that he's not working for him anymore. That's not a thing they usually take kindly to. But Jedi Cytrix had this insight that, you know what, when somebody starts giving away all their stuff, that's actually a sign that maybe, this guy's ready for it to be over. He's got, it sounds like he's got a lot of, regrets, people that he misses, and it could be that he's just sort of decided it's okay if the mob decides to end it for him. And so this could actually be sort of an extended scene of him deciding his life is over. I don't really know. And so I actually am eager to continue on once I've resolved whatever is standing in my way right now. I'm eager to sort of continue on and find out more about this character, because like, it could be that this is, you know, the point of this is to see what's coming and experience the whole thing right up until the end. Another option is maybe this is trying to surprise us and actually sort of be a game that's a little bit more hopeful and less about sort of just staying in that sort of kind of sad, regretful sort of zone, but is actually meant to sort of turn our expectations on their ends. And I genuinely don't know which one we're headed towards, and I really want to know. So, but you know, because this is a very sort of story-driven game. The last thing I want to do is just stream the entire thing and invalidate, you know, the idea of buying this game for other people. So if this is the kind of thing you're into, you know, I think I'm gonna leave the questions unanswered and let you discover them on your own. So with that, we'll wrap up the video. You can subscribe to my channel if you'd like to, and you know, I'll put some other games up here, and you can click on them too. Adios.